Sometimes it's about more than manifesting. You got to do the work. Welcome to the Keep It Uplifting podcast, where we discuss lifestyle, fitness, and motivation. I am your host, Uplifting, and I have the honor of having back Chris Dodd. Say what's up to the people.
What's up, man? Hey, the honor's all mine, dude. I appreciate you having me back for sure.
And I'm glad to actually have you back because I don't feel like we touched on it enough. Last time you were on, I believe we talked about you going full time as a influencer, right?
Yeah, just about. Yep.
And I've been seeing you a lot, man. I've been seeing you in different roles. I know that, of course, you have Black Roses, but I've seen you in what was it? Was it Champion or who was it? Who was it?
I think you're probably referring to Russell Athletic, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. But
Yeah, I did some stuff for Russell Athletic. Yep.
I seen you with, the cigar type of alcohol vibes,
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yes, sir.
there's a lot of glitz and glamour to that, and it
Yeah.
looks like it's easy, but how has it been? Really? How has it been?
Dude, it's been cool and it's been fun. And I'm actually, I'm glad you kind of brought that up because that's actually something I've been like kind of working on lately or whatever, kind of diving into is kind of the whole like stigmata behind influencer and stuff like that. And, I personally like to refer to myself more as a creator.
Yeah.
Not that it, not saying, I'm offended or whatever, but anything, but yeah, that's actually something that kind of sparked in me today was a big concept between the difference between like an influencer and a creator or
Okay.
whatever. Even it could all be the same thing, but yeah, personally things have been going good for me, man. It's kind of cool because that's kind of like not even my forefront of my focus. It's just kind of something that essentially comes natural to me. And I think it's more or less just my passion for being creative is what really kind of stands out and resonates with brands that I work with and stuff like that. And that's
Hmm.
kind of something for me along the way that I just started to kind of fall into was just seriously just being myself and just being creative and something I've done for a really long time. And it just came so natural to me. And
Yeah.
yeah, so without sounding kind of cheesy, like I never really tried to be an influencer. It kind of like fell on my plate. It kind of like came to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, for sure. So
I'm actually glad that you said that because I had a bunch of questions. We'll throw them out, but
yeah,
uh I do another podcast as well, and one of the guys on the podcast, I let him know that we are influencers,
right.
whether
Yeah,
we
hundred
whether we
percent,
want to be called that or not. But
100%.
why do you prefer being called a creator? Because I feel like if you create, you influence. So tell
No,
me,
for
what
sure.
is the difference between creator and influencer to you?
Yeah, so I'd love to answer that. To be honest with you, for me, it's I do prefer to be referred to as a creator only because these days I feel like there's kind of like a negative, there's just kind of a negative vibe around being an influencer and stuff. And I think most people, to like the common public and things like that,
Yeah.
they think of influencers as just like, oh, it must be nice. Like that person, male or female, is just good looking. All they do is just take pictures all day and they, and just take selfies. And it must be so easy. They get paid and do this and that with all these brands. And that's what I feel like the public's perception of an influencer is. And
Yeah.
the reason why I prefer to be kind of referred to as a creator is because for me, that's what it is. You know what I mean?
Okay.
For me, it's just always been like, especially the things I do. It's honestly just a way for me to express myself. It's something I'm extremely passionate about. It kind of gets me going, gets me up in the morning. I love the challenges of creating different types of images within what I like to do. And the biggest thing is too, I think that I wanted to touch on is kind of like as far as being an influencer or a creator, I think it's kind of obvious to some people when you see certain people within that lane that are kind of just doing it for attention or just want to be popular, or maybe it's if it's a guy, maybe they want to get girls, or a
Yeah.
girl, whatever, something like that, or they want to get money and just attention and fame. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's also really important to understand, is that there's nothing wrong with that. But I think as long as you understand what you want
Mhm.
out of it, I think that's the most important thing. And like for me, it's never for me the reason why I prefer creator, right? The big reason is because I'm not doing this for attention. I'm not doing this for approval from others. I'm not doing it for girls or for money or to look cool. Like I'm literally doing it because I sincerely enjoy it. And
Mhm.
that's why for me, it's so important that I don't care what people like, essentially this is a broad way to put it, but I don't care what people think. Like, I don't care about the reception when I'm creating. I don't care about like, I'm not like, oh, this is going to get a lot of likes or
Right.
this is going to set me up here. I do it because I enjoy it. And
Right.
if the reception's good, sweet. If it's bad, oh well. Like, it's something I sincerely enjoy.
Mhm.
And I think that's what screams authenticity with me. It's just something that I sincerely enjoy. And I'm not doing this for like the wrong reasons. And I know what I want out of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which again, I want to like stress that I don't think it's a bad, like, it's not a bad thing. If you want to just do this for like attention, fame, and money, whatever, that's fine. As long as you're like, you understand that for
Right.
yourself, and you can kind of shape your energy and your focus around what you're doing, around what your goals are. I think that's important within not just influencer, but anything you're doing.
So you would say a person who is a creator has a passion for creating versus someone who wants to be in the limelight has a passion for influencing, maybe.
I
Right.
think so. Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. And I think it's kind of a thin line between the both of them. And I think both paths can kind of, mesh with each other. But I think that's, for me personally, that's the difference for me. And I just feel like, as a creator, it's kind of like I'm more focused on, to put it simple, creating. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas an influencer, it's kind of like it's just certain like, it's kind of obvious. And I think that also ruins the whole vibe, like especially if I'm a brand trying to recruit somebody, and you can see that they'll just, you can tell the difference between somebody who really is trying to be creative or somebody who just wants attention and stuff like that. And again, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying there is a difference for
Right.
sure to me.
Well,
And that's how I see it. Yeah.
have you turned down brands? You know,
Yeah.
I like I
Yeah.
said, I've
Absolutely.
seen you with
Yeah.
other brands, but have you, and why?
Yeah. So I actually have. I actually turned down brands, actually, especially more recently, like kind of all the time. If it's something that's not within my niche, something that I see myself enjoying, or something that I don't even have any interest in, regardless if it's paid or not, I won't do it.
Right.
For me personally, like a lot of like more like producty type stuff, or like supplements, and like, or like things like that are just not something that's organic to me in my everyday life. I don't really like to do it. And there's definitely certain projects that like I've gotten an offer for, and I'll be like, yeah, that's not really me. I don't think I could do that, but I'll give it a try. I give it a try, and then I love it and I nail it and the brand loves it, and I'm just like, all
Right.
right, cool. So like, I think it's always important to like take on a challenge, something that's not necessarily usual to you, but
Right.
at the same time, if it's not organic to me, and it's not something that I could like seriously see myself using on a daily basis or doing something, I don't do it.
But that's crazy though, because on the Keep the
Yeah.
Uplifting podcast, we talk about goal achieving, right?
Hmm.
So you've been doing this for so long,
Yeah.
and you would think you are at the pinnacle, or coming up on the pinnacle of where most people dream of being, where brands are reaching out to them. They're not looking
Right.
for
Right.
you. You're doing this full time, and you're not just taking what comes to you.
Yeah,
What is
absolutely.
that about?
I think that really all just circles back to where I said in the beginning, is honestly, again, my passion is to create. I get more satisfaction out of the creative side of things. And also too, if you like consider my like influencer brand, right? If I took some sort of like partnership or deal that had nothing to do with what I normally like to share, it
Yeah.
just would look really off, and it would
Mm,
honestly almost taper down my brand, right?
right.
Like I'm into men's fashion mostly. I'm into clothing mostly. So if I did
Right.
some like sort of like vitamin gummy, that's just not really, it's just not my
Right.
thing, regardless if it's paid or not. And it doesn't really connect with my audience or what I like to share. You know what I mean? It just
Right.
doesn't, it's just not as enjoyable for me at all. And I don't, I honestly, I just wouldn't enjoy it. It just wouldn't be fun for me to do. I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't be able to get into it. And it's not fun here and there. I take things that are kind of outside of my niche a little bit, because it's challenging and it's fun.
Mhm.
And if it's paid, whatever, sure. But mostly, if it's not within my niche, I don't even really entertain it, to be honest with you.
Okay. So
Yeah.
brands reach out to you, you determine if it's in your wheelhouse or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take us through as much as you can that
For
process.
sure.
Like, how does that work? The background that people
Yeah.
don't see, because they just think somebody hands you, or they may think someone hands you a script, or like, how does it work exactly?
So as like an influencer or creator, there's actually a lot of awesome like platforms outside of social media these days, which I didn't even know existed. But there's these like external platforms and stuff, and it's such a big market and such a big it's such a big industry now that there's actual specific platforms that exist that will kind of connect brands and creators and mesh them together, right?
Right.
I'm a part of a few platforms that I'm kind of like signed up on, and that's mostly how I get some of my bigger collaborations. It's kind of like I'll have a profile on there, brands will have their brands on there, and then they kind of recruit you. They'll send you
Okay.
like an invitation to apply. Yeah, which is really cool. I actually just linked up with this one influencer brand called Apex Drop, and they
Okay.
actually just recruited me to kind of help recruit other creators for them too. So that
Nice.
actually just happened today, which was cool too.
Yeah.
So I just got that all set up and stuff. So I'll be able to kind of communicate with some people within my network and help them get more brand deals and stuff like that. So yeah, that's mostly how I get most of my deals. A lot of times I'll get messages from brands like directly on social media, and most of the time I won't really. Sometimes if it's like something that looks legit and on par, and they work with other people, I'll do that. But most of the time I don't connect with brands through social media because it's kind of like somewhat unprofessional in a sense.
Right. But you went full time, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
you have these companies reaching out to you left and right. Isn't it a
Yeah.
little scary to kind of turn down money?
um yes and no, man. Because here's the thing, like in the way I look at it, right? If I want to, if I look at things in the bigger picture and kind of in the long run, especially within my influencer brand, in order to protect that what I've built and my sort of like vibe, if you want to call it, or
Right.
my brand, in order to protect that, I have to take things that are on par with that. So if I make
Mm.
if I make too many wrong moves in a short amount of time, it kind of just would water down my brand, and I might not get any more offers, and it kind of confuses. A lot of brands like to look at specific niches, and that's why you see blogs and stuff like that do so well,
Right.
because it's all within a specific niche, and the more you stay tight into that one specific niche, the more it will synchronize better. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, let's get to the current a little bit, man. You've
Yeah.
been busy. It's been
Yes,
hard to
sir.
catch up with you.
Yeah.
It's been hard to get a reply from you,
Nah,
so
nah.
no, but like you're a busy man. You give a status, you say, hey man,
Yeah.
I'll probably be
Yeah.
free 3 weeks from now, so
Right.
what has it been like since you've gone full time? Like if you could, what's a typical day of you now full time? Because you're not just an creator,
Right.
you're a grown man and you're a family
Hmm.
man.
Yeah.
So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
so take me through a day, man, for people who
Yeah.
don't know.
So for sure, man. For me, it's kind of like, dude, especially with the family thing, it's crazy because I've been, I've my first son was born back in 2013, and that's actually coincidentally once I started to really pick up what I've been doing with my brand and stuff, and been working. So it's like I've just know no other way other than to just navigate through the daily life. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's I've been like this for quite a while now. So it's like I just always, between me and my little team and my little family and my situation, we're like such a just powerhouse. We just always, it's not even, we don't even need to communicate. It's just, we just always get done what needs to be done in that aspect. But for me, especially now that I'm doing this full time, it's been great to be able to control my own schedule. You know what I mean? I'm up
Mm-hmm.
earlier now. I'm going to bed earlier now. I can kind of create some sort of consistency, which is huge for me. I run really well off consistency, structure, and routine.
Okay.
It just all adds up for me and stuff like that. So that's been the biggest change, is just really controlling my time. But recently though, I get up early, breakfast, coffee. I've been trying to read more lately, get my mind focused and sharp for the day, and do what I need to do for my business for the first couple hours of the day. If it's a gym day, I'll get to the gym, get a workout in, and just always make sure that I'm doing the most possible that I can within every day, and always trying to crush everything that day, instead of,
So you
I don't really consider there to be a tomorrow type thing. You know what I mean? I always just
yeah,
trying to crush and knock everything out. So yeah.
you touched on the team though, man. How'd you get your team? Like
Um,
how did that happen? Give us a little background as to what that process was for you. Did people just come to you, or
For sure.
what happened?
So, um, I guess when I was talking about my team, I was talking about pretty much like my family and stuff. Like between
Oh,
me and
okay,
my
okay.
fiance, my fiance's a professional photographer as well. She has her own business, and she helps me a lot with my business and my influencer brand. So between her and I, we work
Yeah,
so well together, just supporting
beautiful.
each other's dreams and call. Yeah, and
Beautiful, man.
yeah,
Seriously.
we get what we need to get done all the time. It's been such a blessing. It's been so cool.
Social
And
media don't talk about that.
You're right, right. Exactly. I know, man. I know. And I know that's something I want to get more into eventually. And, there's so much to talk about in that realm, but yeah, man, and again, we've been together since like 2012, me and my fiance, and we've been just grinding
Beautiful.
and putting in work within our crafts for so long now and building each other up that it's like, we just work so well together, and,
Yeah.
it's great. So that's what I meant for that. But as far as like my business goes and my kind of influencer brand, I do have like a little bit of a team there too. I
Right.
have a guy that helps me out with social media. Him I met through social media. We kind of reached out to each other and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And all my business partners as well are people that I've kind of accumulated on social media, which is cool. And I just built an awesome team with my brand and all that stuff too. So
Well,
yeah, I've got some good people on working with me now.
I think it's great that you say that, because I have a few people that, as I'm growing my brand or just
Yeah.
growing my message,
Yeah.
it's people who reach out to me, want to collab,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
there's people who are inspired and they start their own things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's good that you are, like you mentioned, that not only do you have your team at home, your family, but now
Yeah.
you have someone that you met through social media. So it doesn't
Yes.
have to
Yeah.
be friends and family always.
I prefer it that way, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
I always keep like, I think I touched on this the last time I spoke with you on the podcast too, is, for me, I like to keep, I like to kind of keep my friends, out of what I'm trying to venture with online. Not in a negative way at all. I just mean, as far as business goes and stuff like that.
Hmm.
It's never been a good idea to me to mix friendships and family with business. I think anybody will tell you that within that world, and I've seen it firsthand. It's just not, it never works out. And I like to just kind of keep things separate unless it's like, something unique or whatever. But
Hmm.
for me, yeah, I work so much better with somebody that's essentially a complete stranger, because there's none of that like kind of barrier where you got to kind of like, tiptoe around each other because you don't want anybody to get hurt or anything like that. You
Right,
just shoot
right, right,
straight forward. You know what I mean? And that's
right.
the best way to do things for me, to be honest with you too. So yeah.
So you mentioned consistency,
Hmm.
and a couple of other things that are strong suits of someone who's highly successful. And I revere you as someone who is highly successful.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you,
Um,
man.
but I did notice that you say you're starting to read more. Were you always a avid reader? And if there are 3 or 5 books that you could recommend, what would they be?
Yeah. So the crazy thing is, yeah, actually I was, when I was a young, when I was in like elementary school, I actually loved reading. I always loved English class and I loved reading. And when it was like time to, where they would pass out a certain book and you had to take it home and read it and stuff, I used to get obsessed. I remember the one book that they handed us out. It was like this like Cynthia D. Felice book or something completely, just some sort of fiction thing, nothing like serious or like highly educational. But I got so into it that I went and researched the author and got like all of her books, and
Yeah,
I collected them, and I was just obsessed with it, and I read them all.
yeah.
And I just loved like reading and the stories, and like writing has always come so natural to me. I always remembered in English class, like I could fill a page up, like, well, the person next to me still, on the first few sentences. And I did, and sometimes I even was aware of it. Half the time I'd be bullshit. Like I'd say the same thing in different phrases like 8 times in a row, but my paper would be done. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But anyways, yeah, I always loved reading. And then throughout my early teenage years, young adulthood, I kind of abandoned it, especially with the rest of the world. Social media got so big, everybody's staring at screens. It's just something that I've kind of brought back out of the archives, if you want to call it. For me, it's
Hmm.
just such a good, healthy habit. And to be honest with you, right now I'm kind of in the earlier stages of getting in the habit of reading. Right now I'm not even reading like super like important, like most people get on here and be like, yeah, I'm reading this book about 8 ways to improve my freaking,
Right.
no. I'm reading
Right.
like just like some sci-fi books, just some books that I can kind of lose myself into, just to get
Mm,
in the habit of reading again, just something I'm enjoying. It's literally just some fictional stories
yeah.
based off like some video games I got into and stuff like
Right.
that. So I'm just doing that just to get my mind sharp. And then eventually, after I get a couple of those books knocked out, then I'm going to dive into some more like, something I could really absorb and apply to my life. But I feel like reading is reading. It's the same
Right.
thing working out. You know what I mean? If you're just showing up to the gym and doing what you
Yeah.
can, it's better than nothing. You know what I mean? So
Exercising the muscles,
you know what I
man.
mean? Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's the same thing with your
Stimulating
mind.
growth.
Reading is the same thing. It's been such a it's like something new to me, man. If I have a nice cup of coffee and a book, it's just kind of like, it just puts me in this mindset for the day where I'm just kind of like, it's a disciplinary thing. You know what I mean? Especially
Yeah.
because so many people, and me too, we get in the habit of waking up. First thing you do is check your phone. If I can, keep that away and get on a book first thing, it just sets the tone for the day where I'm just ready to go. And it's kind of like, I'm so disciplined. I just knock stuff out right in a row, and it just gives me that attack mindset. It's cool.
So I talk a lot about, where I'm 30 plus episodes in, and I talk about getting after it, going after it, planning, having a list for the day, doing this,
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
As a entrepreneur, as a businessman, as someone who's super, super busy all the time, how do you relax? How do you turn it
Yeah.
off?
No, that's a good question, man. That's a good question. But honestly, to touch on what you said at first about the kind of writing things down, man, this thing, ever since they came out with these iPhones, this
Yeah.
has been my thing. The little notepad app,
Yeah.
I almost considered it like an OCD habit of mine, but I have a today schedule that every single night I write down my tasks for the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And it might even be, even if I have a slow day the next day, it's the same thing. And it's stupid little things that I have to do, like everything. It's seriously, it's like insane, like OCD level. Every single night I have a habit. I rewrite my list for the day, the next day, whatever it is, whatever I have to do. If I've got important stuff going on, or if I don't have much going on, I always come up with a list, and I always have to complete that thing from top to bottom every single day. It's like an OCD tick of mine, but I do it. And that's just something that is so useful to me to kind of just like, it's almost like, in a micro scale, like speaking it into existence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tomorrow I have to do this, and I'm going to make sure I do
Right.
it. And if I don't do it, it eats at me, and I feel like I like failed for the day or something. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
always make sure that, that's just a little habit of mine that I've developed for as long as they've had iPhones. So, I mean, the past 10 years or something like that. But, as far as like relaxing and slowing down for the day, I think the biggest thing now for me is like, toward the end of the night or something, maybe play a little video games or something like that, or just sit down with the kids or something like that. But, um, also too, I've gotten, I've refound how important it is to stay physical and active. So I got back into skateboarding. I've been skating with a couple old buddies and stuff like
See
that.
that. See that.
Yeah, just kind of, they just built this beautiful park out here. So I'll just show up with a couple of friends, and that's just so, it's so necessary. You know what I
But
mean?
I mean, that's kind of a daily thing. But
Yeah.
when you disconnect, do you disconnect? Do you cut the phone off, or
You know,
I guess, how do you
yeah.
avoid burnout? Right? Like, how do you turn that? I have to do something. I got to get this. I mean, are you the person? A better question is, are you the person that's on vacation with a list of 40 things to do?
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of am, man. I'm not going to lie. Like, I kind of am. I went on vacation recently with my family and stuff. And man, my fiance, I could tell she was cooking. She was getting mad, dude, because like I was waking up at like 6 just to try and knock everything out before the rest of everybody woke up and stuff. And I'm not going to lie. Like, there's, someday soon I'll take like a more, I'll take vacation a little bit more seriously. But for right now, man, I gotta do what I gotta do. But yeah, man, it was, yeah. Yeah, I can be like that for sure. But I think the biggest thing for me too, though, is almost just as important as I'll schedule like something I need to do for the day. I'll schedule some time to just relax. And that's the
Okay.
thing too. I think a lot of people, a lot of people like when we refer to like, oh, we're so busy, we're so busy. It's like, yeah, I'm busy, but also it's not that I'm so busy that I can't do anything. I'm very time oriented, right? I've gotten good at time management. I think that's the most important thing. So it's kind of like, if somebody hits me and I can't talk at the moment, it's not that I'm so busy that I can't talk. It's just like, no, I have a task at hand right now. I'm going to
Right.
knock this out, and then I actually have time later that I'll be able to do that. You know what I mean? It's just how my mind
Single-minded
works.
focus.
Yes, exactly. And
Yeah,
that's,
man.
yeah, 100%. So I reached that mindset a long time ago. And then I just, if I always felt like if I could stick onto that, that would be useful for me. So
Yeah,
yeah.
but do you ever wish that you could turn your brain off?
Yeah, I do. And it sucks. I'm not even, yeah, I do. And I don't know, man. I'm hoping at some point I figure it out, but for sure, man, my mind is always, it's one thing I've struggled with for a long time. Actually, when I was a kid, I went to try and kind of knock that issue out. It's kind of like, no matter what I'm doing, even when I like talk about doing these things that I'm talking about, like if I go to the park, like even on my mind, like, I remember I actually went to the park last night, the skate park. As soon as I rolled in there, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I got to do that, and I'm like, dude, stop, just like chill for a
Yeah.
minute. And then it's like, as soon as I get out of there, I'm back on doing what I got to do. So, you know, um, I to be honest with you, I haven't found it yet. What'll really like help me, just blow it off and set free. But when I do, I'll let you know. You know what I mean? So
No,
yeah,
I was just thinking about that, man. I wanted
no,
to
for
ask
sure.
you, how do you, how do you wind down? How do you relax?
Yeah,
how do you manage to stay in the moment, right? Because
yeah.
success is the journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really the
Mm-hmm.
destination, right?
No, you're
So,
right.
how do you manage to stay in the journey more so than the moment, right? Like, know
Yeah.
that, hey, I'm working on something that's building tomorrow.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's something huge. I've been kind of honestly, I want to say like since COVID, that kind of like sparked in me. It was like, look, man, just being able to focus on what's right in front of you, whether that be work or not, being able to just kind of focus on the life that you're present in right now is so much more important than like thinking about making money or creating this awesome career, this and that. Is memories and experiences with friends and family won't it's not something that you can put off, right? It
Right.
gets dangerous when you're like, no, I'll spend time with them later. No, you got to enjoy what's in front of you right now.
Right.
And that became so clear and more important to me within the last year or two. And it's something I take very seriously now. I've reconnected with one of my childhood friends and stuff. And we have actually one day a week that we get together, we work out and then hang
Okay.
out for a little bit and stuff
Okay.
like that. And it's just kind of like, having friendships and good relationships, good healthy relationships with friends and family, it makes everything else so much smoother, and it actually improves your work life, right? It uplifts your energy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when you touch back onto the workforce, and you can communicate with these people and uplift each other and exchange information with each other and stuff, it's so much more healthier and so much better. So that's something over the last year or two I've really stressed to like improve on, is just making sure I'm connecting with my friends,
Yeah.
checking in on my friends,
Yeah.
obviously staying good with my family. You know what I mean? I went through a little phase. I just hit up all my cousins and stuff like, hey, hope you're doing well. Let's get up soon. Stuff like
Right.
that. It's so important. It's so much more important than just being stressed on trying to get rich or be successful all the time. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So it's all about the balance. So yeah.
I'm sure there's a heightened awareness since holiday season is coming up,
Yeah. Yeah.
but as always, man, I see you. There's a lot of venom from you sometimes, vigor
Mm,
I should say,
mm.
on Twitter.
Yeah.
uh do you get a lot, do you get a lot of, maybe we touched on it last time, but
Yeah.
have you been
Yeah.
getting a lot of hate since you've been moving forward, and how do you handle uh negative people?
Right. Uh, Dude, to be honest with you, if I have been getting some hate lately, I haven't even seen it. You know what I mean? I don't take that stuff seriously or to heart, man. I think I kind of said this a little bit earlier, but like I genuinely, again, I hate to sound corny when I say this, but I genuinely don't give a fuck what people think about me at all. Like I
Right.
really don't. And I know
Right.
people say that, but I really don't. I've gotten so good at that like I'm so proud of myself for not giving a fuck what people think in that regard. Like my tight circle, my kids, my close family, my close friends, those are the only opinions that matter to me. As long as they respect me, I'm good. I don't give a shit what some random person thinks about me online. I really don't. So
Well,
it's been
well,
great.
just to hang on to that thought
Yeah.
for a second, do
Yeah.
you think, are you self-aware though? Right? Because, and so I'm gonna give you a little bit more. There's
Yeah.
not caring what people think, but there's also understanding that other people have feelings and being aware of
Yeah.
how you come off to people, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess to kind of like, dive in a little bit more detailed by that. When I say I don't care what people think about me, I mean like their perception of what I'm doing, right? Like
Okay.
I know wholeheartedly who I am and what I want out of life, and I know how I'm going about it to get it. And in regards to like my influencer, my business, my creator brand and stuff like that, like if I get some sort of negative comments or negative perception to that, I know I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't even pay attention to it. I've blocked it out. I've gotten so much hate online when I was making music. It was, I was getting so much hate. Even now I get, comments all the time and all this stuff like that. But I don't care. I don't really pay attention to it. It all adds up in a good way too.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
it comes down to certain things, especially within certain things in my craft, as long as people are talking about certain things, good or bad, it's good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I don't care. Yeah.
So we keep touching on your business, man. Just
Yeah,
tell the people, tell my listeners what you're doing now, what's
for
new
sure.
with you, and
Yeah.
we're where do you plan? What's the plan for it going forward?
Yeah, for sure. So kind of like what you touched on earlier as far as like the whole influencer thing goes. For me, so Shop Black Roses is the business I own and what it's called, and we specialize in like men's streetwear, men's clothing, and stuff like that. And it's something I've been working on for a long time, few years here, and it's been kind of taking a life of its own. So it's been really fun lately. But just to get kind of like touch on what I started, what we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
honestly, so like the cool thing is the whole reason why I started Shop Black Roses is as I was kind of transitioning from, just being on social media to making music, it was kind of like, all right, what do I want to do next? Right. Because for me, I've always found it important that, if you're just going to make a career off social media, that's fine. But it's always so important to have something in the real world that you can
Mhm.
really receive income off, or like a business or something like that, or like that's the whole reason why I transitioned into music at first too. It was like, all right, how do I take this into real life and make a career out of this and make some money off of this? And when I moved on from music, Shop Black Roses came on, and that's when I started to kind of go back to my roots, and I was creating photos and pictures and content and stuff like that. So that's when I kind of flowed into the influencer thing as well.
Right.
So for me, for Shop Black Roses, it was kind of what we touched on earlier, right? I got kind of sick of brands just like always kind of trying to leech off my creativity and kind of just like throwing clothes and products at me, like, here, shoot us some images and this and that. And you really don't see anything on the back end,
Right.
right? Like at the end of the day, I'm out here actually creating the images and stuff like that. I'm shooting the photos or the content and stuff like that. And I'm not saying you got to pay me, like you have to pay me, but it'd be nice, you know what I mean? Especially the
Right.
more and
Right.
more better you get at it, and the longer I've been doing this, it's kind of like, all right, at this point, I got to be compensated for this because this is a real thing for me now. It's a real career. It's a real life. It's something I really do, and I'm gotten good at. So for me, I actually originally created Shop Black Roses almost out of frustration. I was kind of sick of
Oh
just
man.
working with these clothes. Yeah, I was sick of working with these clothing brands, and there was one specific brand I won't mention, but I basically built them. And I got to, at some point, I somehow came across some of the numbers they were doing. It's kind of like, wow. And I've seen zero of that. And I've been out here working and doing all this for you guys, and I've seen literally zero. And instead of being like mad at them or taking it out on them or being negative towards them, it was like, nah, let me just get on my own thing and create my own thing then. You know what I mean? It was kind of
Right.
like, let me just get back at you by working. You know what I
Right.
mean? It was kind of like, that was just me realizing I had to be smarter. It was kind of like,
Right.
I'm not gonna, business is business. I'm not gonna get mad at you because I did this. So
Mm.
it was kind of like, yeah, for me, it was kind of like when I created Shop Black Rose, it was kind of like, how can I continue my influencer thing, but also see some of the back end benefits, right?
Right.
So I was kind of, I was able to be like an influencer, a content creator for my own brand, and then whatever sales we saw, I was able to see the benefits of that as well.
Right.
So that's why I started Shop Black Roses. It was kind of like, well, if I'm gonna be out here doing all these awesome images, let me at least make sure it's my own stuff and I'm getting paid for it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So that's also allowed me to give that kind of freedom to be so fluctuant with what brand deals I take. Like, okay, I don't really care about this because I don't really need the money. You know what I mean? If it's something
Right.
that I'm not going to enjoy, I don't really care about doing it, or it's not going to progress me within my niche and where I want to go. I'm not going to do it because I know I have this to fall back on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together for you a little bit. Like that's the whole
Okay.
reason I started Shop Black Roses, was to um, you know, make sure that I was seeing full benefits of all my hard work and stuff
Okay.
like that. And then somewhere along the way, within a few years in, it just took a life of its own. And then
Yeah.
at that point, it was kind of, would have been selfish for me to not really grow it the way it needed to be grown. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
And
So
and for somebody who may be listening, like I said, there's people who are starting podcasts or just creating
yeah,
content just based off of the keep it uplifting message that I'm putting out into the world. What would you say as far as them trying to get sponsors and all of that right off the bat? Like, is there a certain amount of following you should have, or should you just be careful and build something before you do that? I mean, because
yeah,
I believe you said you were working with a brand now
yeah.
or something to
An
help you
influencer
recruit.
platform.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's the biggest misconception for like influencers and creators, is they always think it's got to be somebody with thousands and thousands of followers. But especially these days, I think it's becoming more apparent that that's not the most important thing. Honestly, the quality of your content is way more important than how many followers you have and stuff like that. And a lot of brands would rather kind of pay or work with you for your authenticity and your abilities to create something that really connects within your niche. You know what I mean? If
Right.
you're you know, and then obviously you've got people that do all the, like, you know, the fake followers and all that other stuff too. Like that's, you know, that's a whole nother, another road and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think people should really stress on having a lot of followers or this and that. I think they should just focus on their craft and what it is that they want to create, and also what they want to put out into the world, right? What you
Right.
kind of essentially want to be known for within your craft and within your niche, I think is the most important thing, rather than the audience. I've always said that focusing on what you're creating is so much more important than the reception, and that's always been kind of my golden rule that I've always stayed with, no matter
Uh-huh.
what I'm doing, whether it's my influencer stuff, whether it was music. Is always like, if I put my heart and soul into this and I created it and I feel great about it and I put it out into the world, that's all I can really, that's all I can control, and that's all I care about. You know what I mean? Whatever happens
Uh-huh.
after that is what happens. So for sure, yeah, it's a tough lane too, because I know, like, when you want to start off and doing these things, and I've worked with so many people and I've talked with so many people that, like, they'll start creating content and then that's their number one thing. It's just like, how do I get bigger deals? How do I get bigger collabs? And it's
Right.
just kind of the wrong focus to take. I think you should it's almost like going to a job and trying to be a manager without actually putting the road work in. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
essentially, you want to
Yeah.
get good at your craft. If you
Right.
want to be if you, like, essentially, if I was talking to somebody that wanted to be an influencer, well, if you want to get paid to be an influencer, you got to be an influencer first. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You got to learn the ways of the craft. You got to get good at what you're doing. You got to hone in on your talents and what you can bring to the industry, in a sense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's super important when you can kind of hone in on that, and you know what you're good at and what you're bad at, and you can focus on your strengths and improve on your weaknesses. You're good to go, and you can
So
apply that to any craft. You know?
last thing, man. What would you like to be remembered for when it's all said and done? With
Yeah,
your creator career, would you?
yeah,
Yeah, what would you like to be
no, for
remembered
sure.
for?
Yeah. So, well, as far as, like, my creator career goes, something I've been kind of, like, getting a little bit deeper into now is really connecting with people, right? I've actually recently built more of, like, an actual creator community on Instagram, where I'm actually having real life conversations with people, and you know, not to, no pun intended, but, like, uplifting each other. And
Right.
and
Right.
I've just been trying to be so transparent lately, man. If somebody reaches out to me and they want, I've just been giving it all. I've been giving free game out left and right.
Yeah.
I've been focusing so much on just helping people lately, and being more transparent with people lately. And I just think at the end of the day and in the long run, it's going to pay off so much more, not only for me, but for other people. Um, so yeah, I mean, as far as being remembered, like, I want to be remembered for just being authentic, real, and just a good person, just a good dude. You know what I mean? I've just
Yeah.
been trying to focus on what's really, really important so much more lately. In my personal life, I've been so blessed, and I'm so, like, secure and happy in life with where I'm at. I've got healthy friendships, healthy relationships. I've got, I've got everything I've ever wanted. So it's just like, how can I give back now? You know what I mean? How can
Yeah.
I help other
Yeah.
people achieve that? How can I help other people build a serious life and a career and doing what they want to do? And that's, it sounds corny, but that's what's been kind of that's what I've been kind of like a new passion of mine. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah, for sure.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
I actually have another question now that you said
Yeah.
that.
Go.
Do
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
fear uh is there anything that you fear? We talked about on one of the previous podcasts about, people who fear success or fear the unknown. Is there anything that you fear?
Yeah, man, it's crazy because obviously, to be where I'm at now and the mindset I'm at now, not only in my life but in business, I've made a lot of changes in my life within the last 10 years, and I kind of used to be a different type of person. And I almost feel like sometimes that old person, the old me, was almost a little bit more stronger in some of those things, because I was never as giving, I was never as kind, I was never as
Mm,
transparent, I was never as open. I was just on this just beeline, just selfish, savage road of being where I want to be.
right.
And so I was always like that, because I was like, I'm not going to partake in these things because I don't want to get taken advantage of. I want to get walked all over. I'm not going to be nice or be this way because I'm just going to get, screwed over or something like that. So that's a fear that lives in me now that I am more transparent, a little bit more open, and also communicating with more people open. Is less like, there's still fucked up people in the world. There's still messed up shit happening every day. I mean,
Right.
I'm like, I just don't want to get walked into one of those situations, you know what I mean?
Oh
And where I've,
yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
almost feel like, and so I got to kind of remain, just smart and strong in some of those situations where, even recently a certain business situation I had where it was kind of starting to go a certain way. And it was kind of like, man, I really kind of, just to be open and transparent with me, with you, I was kind of like, man, the old me would have never even been in this situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I gave this individual the benefit of the doubt. I was transparent, and they did what they did. And
right.
so that's my fear now, is just kind of, allowing some of those things to get to me. But it's all about a balance. I think it's just so much. I've learned so much in the past couple weeks and months that even a few weeks and months from now, this will probably I'll be levels ahead of that. That's
Yeah.
just something I'm so focused on, is just growing and improving in business and in my personal life as well. So it's kind of like, if I can just get better every day, I'm cool with it. So,
And where can people shop the merch, man? What's that website?
yeah,
One more time for me.
for sure. No, so that's, yeah, just to kind of, circle back to what I'm doing with Shop Black Roses again. I touched base on why I started Shop Black Roses. It was kind of like a side project, a side thing. It was a way to kind of put myself both in the brand and creator side of the influencer industry and stuff like that. But fast forward a few years, it just blew up, took a life of its own. It's starting to become its own brand, its own store.
Right.
So again, I didn't, it would have been selfish of me to not, kind of bring some people in to really help that grow. So now it's kind of like, now I've got a legit team, man. I've got a whole network of people behind Shop Black Roses, and it's taken a life of its own, man. It's becoming its own brand, and I've got other parties involved in it. There's paperwork, there's everything. It's
Yeah.
becoming legit, man. And I think 2022, we're about to really, really blow it out of the water. We're going to kind of reset, rebrand, refresh, and we're going to really make a big, strong pull. We've got some really good things in the works. I've got a bunch of minds behind it, a bunch of creative minds, a bunch of business minds behind it, a bunch of serious partners, marketing partners. Kind of been assembling the last 6 months. I've just been going just ape shit on it. Like day, sun up, sun down, every single day, just how much, just trying to get as good as I can with that and improve and really build it into something of its own. And come 2022, it's not even going to just be mine anymore. It's going to be this whole thing. So it's really fun to see. And I've just been so focused and so dedicated on that. I've removed so many areas of my life that were kind of distracting before that. And I've just kind of focused all on this. And it's kind of like something that hit me really hard a few months ago, as I listened to somebody say this, and it was kind of like, you're never going to get as good as you want to be within that one craft if you're spreading yourself too thin, right? And that was me before. I was trying to like segment my day, and like, I'm going to spend the morning doing this, afternoon doing this, and night doing that. It's like, no, I just got to cut all that out and focus on one thing. And that's what I've been doing lately. And the amount that I've learned within this business in the past 3-4 months is just like more than I learned in the past 3 years I was doing it. So
Crazy.
when I really just beelined it and focused myself into that, I've been learning so much, and we're going to blow it up. 2022, it's going to be huge. It's going to be awesome. But it's shopblackroses.com is what it is. And yeah, and we're going to be having a whole fresh new look come January. It's going to be fun, man. I'm really, really, really excited. So I'm putting my all into that. That's my number one priority. That's my thing. So
Okay. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate you coming on. I
For sure,
always
man.
learn so much from you when you come on.
I appreciate that, man. That's awesome.
I
Yeah.
remember when I reached out to you initially, man. Like you said, you've been giving out free games since 2020,
Yeah.
bro. So,
Yeah,
what
it's been important, man. It's important. So yeah.
if anybody can? What's the IG as well for people to follow you? Maybe even DM you if they need
Yeah.
some, some tips
Dude,
or
that's
anything.
the thing. I'm a message away, man. I've got, again, like my little community I've built, man. I've been really, we've been communicating with each other and kind of just shooting the shit and helping each other get better and stuff. And
Yeah,
that's what it is. My Instagram is Chris Dodd BR, at Chris
yeah,
Dodd BR. Yeah.
yeah.
And Twitter, I'm on there, but that's kind of like, Twitter is what it is these days.
That's where it gets spicy for you, man.
Yeah, man. That's kind of what that's kind of what it's always been for me, man. That's
Yeah,
what Twitter, that's the way I looked at Twitter, when it first came out, that was where I was that's where I'd vent, you know what I mean? That's where I'd just go on. If I was going through something real, I'd just be snapping on there. And that's kind of what it's always been for me. And, Instagram's a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more creative and stuff like that. So it's cool.
Well,
Yeah, buddy.
again, man, I appreciate you for coming on. All the links will be below.
For sure,
Make
man.
sure that you follow Chris Dodd. Make sure that you shop Black Roses.
Mm-hmm.
And as always, keep it uplifting.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man. All right.